Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Alison, the online piano and the online violin tutor. Now today is a very special video actually, because it's not really a video that I really ever get a chance to do ever really. So the opportunity has come my way to do this video, so I thought I would utilise it. Now one of my online students from Canada, actually Quebec, has asked me to find her a violin bow. So she doesn't have the opportunity where she is in Quebec to go through the rigmarole of finding a violin bow. She's just, I think she said online, she doesn't really know what to do. She doesn't really know where to look. I don't think there was anywhere online from what she was saying that would give her the opportunity of buying a violin bow and trying a few out and sending them back, etc, etc. And also where she is as well, there's no opportunity for her to go somewhere and try them out. So she has given me a budget, asked me to buy her a violin bow, which I will then ship onto her in Canada. So this video follows on from the recent video that I released on talking about how to buy a violin bow or what to look for in a violin bow. I know I said in that video that I wasn't going to kind of give you specific brand names and things like that, because it really does depend. If you've watched, go and watch that video, then this will make a whole lot more sense. But it really depends on what your budget is, what your skill level is, what you're looking for, the type of violin you've got. You know, I can't just say that, oh, you've got this Dorfler violin bow here, go and buy it, because it really isn't one size fits all. Violin bows are not one size fits all, and I absolutely cannot name a violin bow on my recommendation and tell you to go and buy it, because the minute you picked it up you'd say it was too light, it's too heavy, it's too this, it's too that. And also I'm comparing it on my violin and what that sounds like on your violin with your technique and your body and your physiology and things are going to be completely different to me, and also my opinion. So unlike a violin where you could get something like, I don't know, the Stentor 2, 10 violinists could play the Stentor 2 and it would sound pretty much exactly the same, more or less. Yes, everybody's style's different, but for argument's sake, the Stentor 2 will sound exactly the same across all 10 violinists, because that is the sound of the violin. Violin bows are not really sound orientated so much. It is more about the individual and the personal preference to the feel and the weight of the violin bow. So I recommend you go and watch that video. I'll have it linked underneath, and that's talking about specifically things to look for in a violin bow, what you should be looking out for before you buy, and all this, that and the other. However, I have got a selection of 4 bows that I have had sent from Kaswells Strings here in the UK, and I rung them up a couple of days ago, gave them my budget of violin bows. I said I wanted something Pernambuco if possible, and I said I wanted some carbon fibre as well. And what they do is they will, for a small fee, I think it was £20, to kind of get the 4 violin bows to try out. And then what they will do is they've sent me a prepaid envelope shipping thing that I can send back, and I'll send back 3 bows and I'll keep the one that I want, and they'll take £10 off of that £20, if that makes sense. So really it's only cost me £10 for the privilege of doing this service and having it shipped to me, and then for me to ship it back to them, which I think is really good. 4 bows is probably enough for this kind of budget, and her budget for me was £100. Again, I'll put how much that is in American dollars and Canadian dollars for her. And I've got 4 violin bows. Not that you're really going to be able to see this anyway, but this one is the Advancing Violin Student Pernambuco. This is £99. I'll put the dollar and Canadian equivalent on the screen to just give you some idea. This one is the Czech Brazilwood bow, and this one is £110. And this one is a carbon fibre, so this is a Colegno carbon fibre bow at £125. And this one, the last one, is the Dorfler violin bow for £125. Just by picking them up, I can already tell that I know I'm going to like the Dorfler. But I'll go through the process that I'll do that I like to go through when choosing bows in a minute. So those are the 4 bows that I've been given in and around the budget. And what I'm going to do is take you through what I would personally do when I'm choosing the bow, since I am going to be physically choosing the bow for my students, since she has tasked me with this process of choosing a violin bow for her. The first thing I'm gonna do is not look at any of the bows, because I can see that they're all here, and as you saw them in the case, they're all in order of price. So, so the one at the top, this one here is the cheapest, and then it's going down to the most expensive. So I can already see that, and that's something I don't want to look at. So I know what they're, I know they're all in my price range. I know they're all around the same kind of standard, but I don't want to be looking the fact that, you know, I don't like the sound of the advancing violin student bow at £99, but I really do like the sound of the Dorfler violin bow at 125. So I don't want to sort of be confused with that and be biased before I've even started. And this is pretty much the same process I would do with violins. I don't really look at them, I don't really care what they are. I've been given them to try out in my budget and in my, you know, my technique range, and that's all I'm really bothered about. The other point is that you might notice that my violin bow is actually sitting on the stand here. Normally when trying bows, I would compare it with my violin bow, but my current violin bow is over 10 times the cost of any of these bows here. So comparing my bow to any of these is just going to be an oxymoron. It's just a complete waste of time. It's, you know, I'm going to be going back to my bow all the time. So I'm not going to be doing that. However, if you guys were upgrading from a standard, you know, rubbishy student quality violin bow that you've just got with whatever cheap violin that you've got, and now you want to upgrade to something better, then I would recommend using your bow as the kind of pivotal bow, the bow that you're using, the anchor bow that you're using to compare everything, or compare the other 4, 5, 6 bows from. I'm not going to do that purely because of the price and, you know, the quality of the bow. So I think what I'm going to do is get all these bows out of the box and just lay them down here in front of me, so I don't know which one is which, and they're all kind of a little bit muddled up. And what I will do is flash up on screen which bow it is that I'm using. So I'm not going to know which bow I'm using at the time of recording this video, but obviously when I come to editing, I will know which bow I'm using, and I will put that on the screen. So I won't know, you guys will know. I thought I would do that because I think a lot of you will just be really frustrated watching this, and you'll just want to punch through your computer screen not knowing which bow it is that I'm using. So I'm not going to know, but you guys will know. Oh, the rosin that I used, if you might be interested, is this one. It's Sartori rosin. I'm not sure if that's going to be in focus or not, but it's this one. I'll put a link to this underneath. It's French rosin, it's Sartori rosin. I love this rosin. It's the only rosin that I seem to go back to all the time. So if you want a good rosin to put on your bows, which you should be at this point if you're going to be upgrading, make sure you get a good rosin. Okay, so I've just picked one up at random, and I'm just going to get playing, really. That was the first bow. I'm not really quite sure what I think about that at the moment. I won't really know until I compare it with some other ones. Already, I don't really like the feel of this. This feels too light and it doesn't feel weighted anywhere. I don't really know what this bow this is. I'm not trying not to pay so much attention to them when I first got them out of the box, so I don't know what they are. But this just feels, I personally don't like it. I like something with a little bit more meat to it. I like something with a little bit more weight. This just feels a little bit too whippy, but you know, we'll see. It's also very bouncy as well. It's very, very difficult to control. I'm not really quite sure about this one. I'm going to come back to this. this already has much more control than the last one. It feels a lot better as well, and it feels a lot heavier. Not too bad. And then the last one. This is very nice. I think this is the one that I thought I would like. Between this one and the other one that I've just put down. There's more movement in this one. Almost not quite as flexible. How about this one? See, it's just this one had a little bit too much bounce on it, and then this one. This one isn't bad either. Which is that one? So this is the Dorfler one, actually. I think I'm going to eliminate this one. This is the Czech Brazilwood at £110. I'm just really not liking it at all. I just feel like it's just, I don't know. I don't like it. So I'm going to get rid of this one, and I'm not going to bother continuing on with this. So we're left with, I can look at these now because it doesn't really matter. So we've got the Kaswells carbon fibre violin. You can tell it's the carbon fibre because it's the dark one. Then we've got the Advancing Student Violin at 99. So actually I really like this one. And then we've got the Dorfler at £125 left. So I don't know, I kind of like the carbon fibre bow. I personally just don't feel like it's doing anything. I feel like it's a little bit too vanilla. So, you know, it's all right. It's all right across the board. It's just a little bit flat. It's just a little bit boring. It's just kind of, you know, tweed jacket, pipe and slippers kind of thing. It's just not, for me, it's just not exciting enough. It's nice. This is the Advancing Student. This one's the Dorfler. This one, I really do like the Dorfler. I said from the start, I feel like the weight of it is really nice for this as well. It's very, very similar to my bow. It's very similar to my bow in the same way that it feels the same way. It's almost weighted the same way. I do like the octagonal bow. The one that I didn't like actually was a round bow. The carbon fibre is round wood. Not that that really makes any difference, but I do find because there is slightly less wood, I feel like the weight is just distributed a lot better. And then comparing it to my bow as well, I feel like, again, I don't know how much this is coming out on camera, but I can see from being in the room that this, let me line these up a little bit, hang on. So this one, the one on this side here is the Dorfler. This side is my violin bow, but it's very similar because I feel like the actual bend on both of them is up here. It sort of seems to be in the same place. Whereas the bend on this one, which is the advancing student one, doesn't quite seem to be as much as either of these two. And again, on this one, it doesn't sort of just seems to be a lot straighter. I don't think this is going to be coming out on camera. You'll just have to take my word for it. But yeah, the Kohl-Legno carbon fibre is a lot straighter. Even though there is a little bit of a bend at the top here, the whole wood of the bow seems to be a lot straighter. So I'm not going to play mine. Don't play mine because, don't play mine. I think I really like the Dorfler. So if it were me, well, it is me choosing these, I would go for the Dorfler, and I'd be happy to go for the Dorfler. And it might seem, I suppose, I've made a decision very, very quickly just in the course of making this video, but don't forget I've got many, many years of experience, and this is a reasonably cheap bow, although some of you might be saying there that actually this violin bow is worth more than the actual violin you've got yourself, but it's all proportional. In terms of violin bows, this is actually quite a cheap violin bow. Having said that though, you can get violin bows for like £30, $30. So I guess, it depends on your perspective of what's cheap and what's not. But in the violin bow world, as I said, this one is 10 times more expensive than this one. So that gives you an idea of how much my bow is worth to how much this bow is worth. And my violin bow is probably worth about 10% of what my actual violin is worth. So I think, at the end of the day, you might be looking at around about 10%, paying 10% of what your violin is worth to spend on a bow. So like I said, the process of choosing a violin bow is going to be a lot easier for me because I kind of know what I'm looking for, and I can just go straight in there, and I just know by the look and the kind of feel of them straight away which ones I like. But I think definitely the Dorfler violin bow, which just happens to be the most expensive violin bow. Actually, two were at the same price. So this one, so the Dorfler and the carbon fibre. But I think the carbon fibre would come in probably at a second, just slightly over the advancing violin student bow, which was actually the cheapest of them. I really didn't like the Czech Brazil bow. I think it's the wood. I think it's the wood of the bow that just really sucks for me, because it's just Brazilwood, so it's just a cheaper version of wood used on a bow, and it's sort of a mishmash of wood, and I don't know, I really don't like it, and I can tell just by picking it up, and I'm not really doing anything with it. The carbon fibre is really, really nice. For me, there just isn't enough to it. It doesn't really lean towards any one particular technique, and I kind of feel like the most obvious techniques you do on the violin, as well as legato bowing, so as well as these, which is what we bow every day. We're always doing legato full bows every day in all the playing that we do. But the most prevalent bow techniques are going to be these ones. Where you've got ricochet bowing and you're bouncing off the strings, spiccato, ricochet bowing. Those are quite difficult bow techniques to be doing, and they're the ones that require the most technicality from the bow, as well as the hand obviously as well. But if you haven't got the right tool, they're very, very difficult to do. And I feel like the Czech Brazilwood is so light. It's barely like, it's so whippy and it's so light. This isn't going to do anything. It's just going to be flying all over the show. So that's an absolute no for me. The carbon fibre probably just about keeps up with that. I mean, this is £125, so I don't know if it would be any different if you had a much more expensive carbon fibre bow. I don't know. I couldn't comment because I haven't tried one. So it may be different if you're going on, nearly £1,000 $1,000, £1,000 for a carbon fibre bow. Might be a different story. The Dorfler is the best one because it does all those legato bowings, and it had a really nice smooth and fluency to those legato bowings, and probably something that my ears would pick up more than what I've got a H5 Zoom recorder in front of me, so even then that's not going to pick it up because you need to be in the room and need to be physically playing it yourself, which is why you need to physically play these bows yourself and not rely on someone just giving you a brand name. For me, it felt smooth and it sounded a lot smoother, and also it worked very, very well. It behaved very, very well when I was doing spiccato and ricochet bowings as well. Probably a little bit more than the advancing violin student, which just seems to me just a little bit lighter in certain areas. So the Dorfler had a really nice feel to it as well. I like the feel near the frog. It has a really good weight to it. It's not too sort of light, heavy in the middle, at the heel, at the tip of the bow. And it responded very, very well to spiccato and ricochet bowing. If you can do those bowings, or get someone at least to try spiccato and ricochet bowings with a bow that you're going to try, then that will be the ultimate test of the bow. If the bow can't ricochet and the bow can't spiccato, I really wouldn't bother with that bow at all, because those are probably the most technically demanding bow techniques that you'll do, and if the bow can't keep up with those, forget it and move on to the next one. Yeah, thanks very much for watching. I hope this has been helpful. My student from Canada now has a brand new bow, which is going to be the Dorfler. Yeah, so I will be sending that to her next week. And don't forget, I've got the other video underneath it on how to specifically buy a bow. Go and watch that as well in addition to this one. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.